Hello and welcome, I am the Sterling and today we are playing Timberborn. In the last episode, we began bot production and then started growing the bot population. Then grew the population to the point where we didn't need beavers anymore. And now the beavers are basically unemployed. But this bot expansion, I'm not ready to stop it here. And so in this episode, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So sit back, grab a cold one and let's get started. Now before I go crazy, basically doubling our entire production over here, there's a few other little things that I want to take care of first. The first one being, I'm going to need double dynamite and triple dynamite for all the mega projects I've got planned in the future. Though unlocking double dynamite and triple dynamite is not an issue, as we have 22,000 science, so we're not wanting for science. The issue is, to be able to build double and triple dynamite doesn't just take explosives, you also need extract. And as you probably guessed it, we're not producing extract at this point. To be able to produce extract, we need a centrifuge, which we haven't unlocked yet. It's going to cost 600 science to unlock, 60 planks, 40 gears, and 30 metal. And we're going to do that right now. Done. So now let's build one. Now, no doubt I'm going to need more than one, but for the moment, one's going to do. Now, by adding bad water and timber together in the centrifuge, we produce extract. But we need a place to store it. So as you probably guessed, you store it in barrels. So I'm going to set up a couple right here. Done. And then set them up for extract. Fantastic. That's the first thing this episode taken care of. The next thing I want to do this episode is I want to take control of all the bad water on the map. At this very moment, we've only got control of this bad water source, which is powering our power plant and will be powering our future power plant. This bad water source, on the other hand, flows freely. We haven't capped it yet, and it does nothing but pollute our bloody map. So I'm going to put a bad water discharge on top of it. And then once that's built, I'm going to close it, and then we won't produce any more bad water in this neck of the woods. Not that it really matters, because let's be honest, we're not using this area for anything as of yet. But once we start building dams and forests and farms in this area, it's nice to know that this won't ever affect any of that. Now I just have to path our way over there, just like so. Now once they build that, then we'll easily be able to get over here to build it. And you know what? Rather than removing that tree and messing about with it, let's just go around the tree. How much time would we really be saving by taking that tree out? Now there's nothing left for us to do but hit play, build the centrifuge, build the bad water discharge, and build up our extract. Day 17 of cycle 30, and we've already built up a nice little stock worth of extract, which is great because now we can start blowing stuff up. Which means I have a decision to make. Do I start by leveling this mountain so we can start getting to work on the real industrial area and the real power station? Or do we start leveling this corner area so we can then start getting to work building our multi-story forest? The decisions. I think we're going to do a little bit of both. As to be able to build the multi-story forest over here in the corner and actually maintain it, we need bots. Initially, it will be built by beavers, but then once I separate this section from the rest of the map, then we'll be completely relying on the bots. But from day dot, the forests and the farmlands will be completely managed by bots. Now, we do have quite a good population of bots. We actually have all the positions on the map filled, and we still have 31 bots spare. So we're not wanting for bots at the moment, but I suspect that we're going to need a hell of a lot more than 31 spare. And on top of all this, I'm watching our resources, and our food's good, our water's good, not worried about that. And our timber seems to be hanging on. It does seem to be around the 1.9. But the more bots we create, the more dependency on resources we're going to have, especially timber. Timber, we use it for nearly everything, other than metal components, obviously. But gears, planks, treated planks, logs themselves is all based around timber. So we do need to make sure that we do balance this out. But I think we're going to start with the industry. Now, in all honesty, I have no idea how this is going to look. I've got a little bit of an idea. Essentially, I want to make a power station that runs across here. And I kind of want to make it the length of the map. It's going to be multi-story. Well, this is the plan anyway. Now, knowing this, that means I want our actual industry to sort of back onto it. And it's going to be here or somewhere here. I know it's here. But regardless, the one thing I know for certain, this bloody mountain's in the way. Because sooner or later, I want everything to actually be built at this level here. About the height of the bottom of this river here. So regardless, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to get rid of these bloody trees on top. And I'm going to have to find paths to all this. And I assume this isn't going to be a quick process. And I've got to be careful not to damage this section here just yet, because we still definitely need power. Speaking of which, we are putting out 6,900 power, and we're only using 5,400. I suspect before we build our mega power station, I'm going to have to expand our little one here, but for the moment, this is still doing the job. So we'll mark these resources to be deconstructed. I'll set up pathing, get them to put dynamite on top, and then I can start blowing it down. Day 11, cycle 34. And I've leveled the mountain. Bloody most of it anyway. Now I've leveled the mountain. Now I've still got to go around, clean up all the ladders and platforms, etc. But that is now at the level that I want to start building at. I still need to level all this here down to the bottom level. And I need to come through and start filling in gaps such as this river here. Now you're probably sitting there going, but Sterling, you've leveled it down to the level of the actual rivers. And if you notice that, you have a keen eye. But yes, I've deliberately leveled that terrain to the same level as the actual rivers, as everything I'm building here will also be built down to the level of the river. As I've said in the past episodes, one day the rivers will be a thing of the past. Well, that's the plan anyway. Now, to actually be able to level this mountain, I had to kick some industry into overgear. I needed to create more centrifuges because I needed to produce a lot more extract. I also had to build quite a few more explosive factories for obvious reasons. But then I was lacking one crucial component for both of these two factories: bad water. So then I put that into overdrive, as you can see, and built quite a few more bad water pumps. And so now we're sitting quite comfortably on the edge, that is. We are now using 6,630 horsepower of our 6,894 horsepower that we're producing. So I've got two options. I can keep flogging a dead horse and expanding our little poxy power source, or I can start construction on our mega power source. Because ideally I I wanted to start expanding the industry this episode. But as I've taken it to the limit already due to the fact of the limitations of our power source, I think it's only best that I do start actually building our mega power source. So what's that going to involve? Blowing a hell of a lot of things up to begin with. I need to level all of this area here, as I said before, down to the very bottom. Because I've got an idea for a multi-story power source. And each level should put out about 150,000 horsepower. And then I'm actually building it quite modular. So then I can go, okay, well, I now need more than 150,000 horsepower, and I can build another level, and suddenly we got 300,000 horsepower. And then I can go, well, I need another 150,000 horsepower and build another level. So forth and so forth. I think you get the gist. Now, do I actually think I'm going to need that much horsepower? Honestly, I have no idea. In my head, I want to go to ridiculous levels in this map. But when it comes to the industry, what does that entail? Not 100% sure. Now, when I do go multi-levels though, I'm going to need a hell of a lot more metal. And so by then, I definitely need to have found a mine on the map and start raking in some serious metal. Well, there's nothing left to do but to start making a big hole in the ground. Day 4, cycle 36. It took a while, but I've leveled the ground ready to start building the power station. Unfortunately, it turned out I went a little lower than I actually expected to go, and so I'm going to need to add quite a few terrain blocks back. Yeah, a little bit of a stuff up. When I looked at the side and counted it, I thought there was 4 blocks, not 3. Then once I blew it up and realised, well, hang on a second, no, there's 3 blocks. And realised, yep, made a big mistake. Not the end of the world. Now, to be able to complete this section of the build, there's a crucial component that I need to unlock. We've been using the compact water wheel. It costs 25 logs to build it, and it puts out about 60 horsepower per CMS. I want to unlock the large water wheel, the 200 science. It will cost 70 logs and 80 planks. It's really expensive, but it puts out 270 horsepower. This is expensive, but it's well worth it. So we're going to unlock it now. Done. Now, there's one more thing I need to unlock, and this is the key component to me getting 150,000 horsepower. The deep mechanical fluid pump. It's going to cost 2,500 science to unlock, and then 50 gears, 25 treated planks, and 25 metal to build it. We're going to unlock that now. Done. We're not ready to be putting down the pumps and the water wheels, but now we've got them, we're ready to use them when time comes. Now, you may have noticed I went around and built quite a few builders huts out here, and I've actually staffed them with iron bots. I've also had to route power out here so I could have charging stations. So now we can start building 24/7, which is fantastic. Now there's nothing left to do but hit play and let them get to work. And there we go. That's now the base for the power station done. I had to pause all the building huts that were housing the timber bots, as this labyrinth of a maze was too much for the bots. They were running out of power long before they could actually build anything. It really wasn't worth the lag and the drop of frame rate. As now we have such a large population, when we have a lot going on, I do get quite a bit of lag. Hence, I am going to be splitting the map up into multiple different districts. Hopefully this will help with the lag. Now it's day 11 of cycle 40. Quite a bit of time has actually passed. And I spent a lot of the time while I was waiting for the build to be done, building up our storage. Have a look at that. I really learnt from my mistakes. We were so unprepared going into that build. Had bugger all dirt, bugger all dynamite, and I was actually even lacking on power. I ended up just putting the wheels here in the front as a quick solution just to tie us over until this power station's built. So because of the lack of power, I couldn't even put in more excavators or any extra sort of factory that I may have needed to help speed up this build. Luckily, when it comes to dynamite and extract, we are producing it at a rapid rate. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for dirt. Though truth be told, I really could have gone about building this a hell of a lot more efficiently. Rather than have a maze through and build this, I could have set up bridges or platforms. There's so many other ways I could have done it. So now it's time for us to actually start filling out this trench with all the necessary things to turn this into a power station. So first of all, let's go and get rid of this path because it's in the bloody way. Now the large power wheels are very different than the compact power wheels. The compact power wheels stand on their own 2 feet and they only take up 1 block. As for the large water wheels, on the other hand, they actually take up 2 blocks, and as you can see here, they actually hang off the side of whatever it is you're building on. So you can't just put 3 or 4 next to each other without something in between for it to sit on. Now, as you can tell, I've made the trench too high, then you've got the lip for the wheels to sit on, and then you got this barrier up here. This barrier up the top is actually where our pumps will sit, but you'll see that in a moment. Let's put the water wheels in now, just like so. Now that's a lot of power wheels. Next, we need to add the pumps. The way the mechanical pumps work is you sit them on a ledge as so, then you have a hose that goes into the water that pumps the water up, and then it drops it into the channel behind it. The water will only go up as high as the lip of this actual pump. So in a lot of cases, it won't overflow where the pump is. You need power to run the pump. Each one of these pumps will actually use 700 horsepower. They are very thirsty. Luckily for what I've got planned, we've got plenty plenty of power to spare. So I'm having 2 pumps at the end here and then 13 pumps either side, just like so. Now you're probably sitting there going, well, Sterling, why are you going to pump water into this power station? Instead, why don't you use the bad water source? It's a continuous flow. You can connect it directly up. It'll constantly flow, turning the wheels, powering the power station. The bad water source has a flow of 1 CMS. So if I were to take this 3-block wide area and reduce it down to a 2-block wide area for these water wheels, I'll get 1.5 CMS of flow running through our power station. Though every single power wheel will actually slow the actual flow of the water. In R&D, I was having a bit of a play with this setup. At the moment, it's a 2-wide channel and it's a 2-deep channel. And using the water source, I could only have 37 of these wheels in a row and I got about 10,000 horsepower. Bugger all. Every single one of these pumps produces 0.5 CMS. So 2 of these pumps are equal to 1 of these water sources. I'll demonstrate and talk more about the actual power station and the way it works when it's actually up and running. Now, to actually be able to build this, I'm going to need to unlock a few things. So down here in pathing, we have overhangs. You got a 2x1, a 3x1, 4x1, 5x1, and 6x1. I'm going to unlock the 6x1 for 3,000 science. Done. May as well unlock them all while I'm at it. I've got plenty of science to spare. They're all about 1,000 each. Except for this last one that's 350. Done. So now we've got all the overhangs. We should have no issues building this. The 6x1 overhang costs 36 logs, 36 planks, and 12 metal. So what we'll do is we'll be adding platforms, like so. Then it's just a matter of putting the overhangs over the top of the actual power station so we can build them. Then we'll just route some stairs up, path all above, and they'll be able to just run around and build. And it's not a waste of resources or time, as this is actually the beginning of the next floor. And there we go. There's the roof. Now, these overhangs are actually quite expensive. For instance, the 6x1 costs 36 logs, 36 planks, and 12 metal, which, as I said, is really expensive, especially when you count up how many are on the roof as we speak. I really didn't want to have to do this just yet because I don't feel that we're in a position where we can afford this. Unfortunately, though, due to the way that the wheels sit on the wall, there was really no way about it, as you can't build paths or platforms in between these wheels. So sadly, I had to jump ahead and do the next step and put the roof on. At least when it comes time to building the next floor, the roof's already done. It just means it's gonna take quite a while to build this, and it's gonna eat at our resources. Nonetheless, now we're ready to hit play and get to work building it. Unfortunately, though, that will have to wait for another episode, as this is all the time we have for today. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.